It's 6:23. So can we have a roll call, please?
Randy Daigle,
Yes.
Gina Sikala,
Here.
David Costa, Chris Cycli,
Here.
Amy Dennis,
Here.
Caitlin Dunn. We know she's here.
Yes, Caitlin's here.
Scott Open,
Here.
Bruce Kellogg,
Here.
Walter Kuzel,
Here.
Kevin Margalfo,
Here.
Michael Monfort, Joe Muller, Jeff Oken, Amar Shamas,
Here.
Greg Stritch,
Here.
Stacy Thurston, Marcus Brennan. Marcus is here, right?
No,
Nate-
he's not.
No, not Marcus.
And Nate Gingerella.
Here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for making this effort. Did everybody get a chance to review the regular meeting minutes dated July 16th? And if so, are there any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the regular meeting minutes of July 16th, 2020 as issued.
Second.
I'll second.
Any questions? Show of hands, all in favor? Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Unanimous? We have no committee guests this evening, so we're going to go right into the architect's report. Mr. Kellogg, are you available? And Jill?
Mr. Chairman. So thank you, everybody, for jumping on the call and making this an official meeting. JCJ and our engineering team are continuing to perform what we call construction administration services as the Gilbane team and the trade contractors have the building under construction and are trucking along. I'll let Amar report on the construction progress, but from our perspective, again, we're in a supporting role. We're out on the site on a regular basis to review the progress. We're also reviewing what we call shop drawings and submittals, which are detailed drawings of how they're putting the various components together, answering construction questions, etc. So that's from a construction standpoint. From furnishings, furniture, and equipment, FF&E. We've had 2 meetings with the state reviewer. The most recent was yesterday. Barbara, I forget her last name, has reviewed the FF&E. We're just waiting, unless she sent something to Chris and me in the last few minutes, but I haven't seen it. We're just waiting for her official approval on the FF&E package. And then the furniture portion of this project, purchase orders can be cut, items purchased off the state website, and delivery scheduled. The first one obviously being February of 21 for the first classroom wing. The other piece that's still in design is technology equipment. GTC, our technology equipment consultant, has been reviewing with the district the technology equipment request. They've put a budget together. We've reviewed that budget with, again, Construction Solutions Group. We've asked them to split the budget cost exceeded what we had as an allocation, so we've asked them to make a determination from their perspective as to the equipment that is needed to run the facility versus equipment that might be considered a wish or a want. And that just came in the last few days. Our next step is to review that with Randy and Chris and others and see what adjustments can be made to the equipment scope and the budget to pull it closer to being in alignment with what the current budget is. So that's in process. We would expect the goal is to have the technology equipment package complete and ready for state review by the beginning of September. And then that package some of the equipment will be on state list, some of it will be bid. And again, the technology equipment, as with the furniture, will be the first package of it will be delivered for February of 21 for the first school wing. So that's essentially where we're at. The only other element that occurred is we did, Jill and I met with the Fire Marshal Ed Shirley earlier this week to address some concerns he had on the cafeteria egress and functions. No big deal. We're just in the process of making some modifications so that we address his concerns. I think it was a positive meeting. As some of you know, we've worked on numerous projects in town and with Ed. And so, again, I think it was a real positive meeting, and no big deal. We just got to kind of close the loop in the next week or so with Ed on that piece. So that's the architect's report. On mute, Randy.
It's like every meeting. Does anybody have any questions for Bruce or Jill, or does Jill have anything she wants to add? Amy, go ahead.
Yeah, so you said that the budget cost for technology was exceeding. Right now, as it stands, JFK has probably one of the poorest, I'm just, hypothesizing, poorest like technology. What kind of technology were they requesting that made them over budget versus, I'm just curious how over budget they were, and if there's, any way, how far off, I guess is my question. And then has it been taken into consideration that the students now are getting one-to-one iPads, and were those part of the original budget, like that kind of technology? Or are we talking more about what teacher needs?
We're talking, the furniture budget, the original budget was higher. And you may remember that during the estimating process, the furniture and technology budgets were reduced to make sure that this project stayed in line with the allocation from the referendum. Obviously, you had an excellent bidding process and recognized some dollar savings. I can't spend any extra savings for you. That has to come from you, the committee, obviously. So the furniture budget, the reduced budget, was probably really aggressive. And one of the issues we're running across is the cost of technology has inched up. Some of it perhaps is because a lot of the technology is manufactured overseas. So that the cost is just up. But Amy, in answer to your question, what we've asked is we're trying to look at this and what do you need to run that school facility that's reasonable, not to penalize students or staff, but so that the district runs it. My guess is we've looked at it. There's probably some pieces that aren't needed today to run it and our wish list, and that's what we want to pare out. And then we'll see where we're at from a budget standpoint. We'll work with Randy and Chris and this committee to figure out what do we do. Do we supplement their budget or whatever? I have never been part of a conversation, and it's credit to this committee and the district, where people have wanted to shortchange the technology or any part of this school. But I think from our perspective as the designers, for us to expect you, the committee, to supplement a budget, we have to be comfortable with what we present to you, and we're not there yet.
We're doing the same thing, Amy, we did for every department, is we ask for what you would like, what your golden egg would look like, and then we come up to a medium. We meet you in the middle. This is the first time we talk with them. We didn't have to do this type of stuff early on. This is more of an infrastructure with servers. We're not going to be purchasing iPads because this project is going to be bonded for 20 years. We're not going to pay for an iPad over 20 years when it's going to be obsolete in 4. So when we're talking technology, we're talking mainly servers, infrastructure, bandwidths, different stations for Wi-Fi, repeaters. It's mainly infrastructure. It's not the actual, where we're doing projectors, stuff like that, but we're not doing laptops or personal iPads, because like I said, we're bonding over 20 years, and it just does not make any sense to bond $1,000 item is going to end up being 6,000 in 20 years worth of
Right.
fees. So,
All right, that makes sense. Just
but
curious.
yeah, we're going through the due diligence like we did with every department. We are fortunate enough that we have some extra money that was allocated. We did take it out early on, and we know where that money is right now. So if we need to go over, that's something a building committee can decide. But we're still not even taken out of our so-called contingency. This is still money that was left over from the fortunate bidding that we were in.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions for Bruce? Anything for Jill? All right. We'll move on to Gilbane, the CMR report.
Thank you, Randy. I'm going to turn it over to Nate Gangarella, who's our senior project engineer on the project, to walk you guys through and give you an update. Marcus can't make it. He's on vacation this week. So with that, Nate, go ahead, take it over. Yep.
All right, guys.
Oop, echo.
Hang on 1 second.
Okay. For those of you who have a screen in front of you, I'm gonna share my screen with you. Let me know if you guys can see it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So to date, we have 52 safe days on the project. We have no reported or recorded injuries thus far. And we're maintaining and making sure we are following all the state and CDC guidelines for COVID-19 precautions on the job site and in the trailer and at every meeting that we held. So we're actively being as safe as we can possibly be. And so is the job site. So this is currently the phase that we're in on the project and the site logistics phase. We're actively in the F wing, which is the old blue wing, the yellow wing, which is the C wing, and the black wing, which is the B wing. These are current photos of the new auditorium. As you can see, we have on the left photo, we have some underground utilities that have been installed, some underground plumbing and some storm drainage. We've also done some demolition of some existing bathrooms to prep the site and get it ready for new steel, and currently pouring footings and foundation walls for that new steel. On the right photo, you see the wall that was demoed for the old existing bathrooms, and we have shoring in place, and again, getting it ready to prep for steel that will be on site within the next 2 weeks. This is just another angle of the same auditorium area B addition. As you can see, we're pouring some footings on the right photo, and on the left photo, we're actively installing conduit for underground electrical feeds to the auditorium. This is the demolition of area B, which is the black wing. For those of you that are familiar, we have started trenching underground for utilities that are going to be run under the slab. And then we've also, on the right photo, as you can see, we've taken out all the existing windows. We have done all of our abatement that is needed. That's where you see the brick that's missing underneath all the windows. That's all the brick that's been abated. Area C, yellow wing. On the left, you have both left and right are the old locker rooms. As you can see, all the masonry walls, all the slabs have been cut up as well. We have temporary shoring in place to support existing steel. And this area is also being prepped and ready for new underground. The photo on the left is the future expanded cafeteria and fitness room, and the photo on the right is the future kitchen. This is a good photo. This is the old pool, obviously. As you can see, we're tearing it up, tearing down all the masonry that's in there and all the concrete and all the tile. We've made large cuts in the exterior wall to get equipment in, which will eventually have new windows in place. This is the future cafeteria. So what happens here is we remove all the concrete and then it gets infilled with structural fill, and then a new slab gets poured over this. Area C, this is just to show you guys we are putting in a lot of conduit right now from the electrical room, the new electrical room, which I'll show you in the next photo. This is all the underground that's cutting through the existing building that feeds the auditorium. So we have a lot of conduit going in place right now. And this is the addition of the C building, which is the yellow wing. This is the MEP addition, which will be the new electrical room and the fire pump room. All the feeders, all the electrical feeds, and all the water service to the building will come through here. So we've got foundation poured. We've got it, since this photo's been taken, we've got it backfilled, and we're actually starting masonry walls over there. This is the F wing, which is the black wing. This is the classroom space wing. As you can see, all the demolition has basically been done. All the lockers have been removed. Old clear story windows have been removed on the interior. And we've moved all of the flooring and all the finishes in the space. This is getting ready currently for any cuts that we need to make in the slab to install underground utilities. This is the exterior of the black wing. Same thing, similar to the B wing. We've removed all of the windows and abated all of the hazmat material that was existing in the building. And these are the swing spaces. This is the former cafeteria swing space, which is on our plans area D. We've got walls up. Since this photo's been taken, we've actually had painting done. We have ceiling grid installed. So we're ready and we're on track to hand these spaces over to the school once school starts. This is the old former media center, which is area E, temp swing space. Again, this will be more classroom spaces temporarily. And that's another ALP temporary classrooms swing space. So that's our update. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy, or myself or Amar would be happy to answer any.
Anybody have any questions? And you can see there's a lot of work
Thanks,
going on.
Nate. So just as Bruce stated earlier, we are meeting with the design team, Chris, obviously CSG, on a bi-weekly basis, and also RFI responses and submittals continue to come in. So the team is working great together, maintaining progress on the job site, and really no issues to report. So if any questions you have, feel free to ask.
What's the question?
Yeah, on the excavating, has everything been going good? No surprises? Everything that we anticipated has been right on target?
There's been some unforeseens, but nothing major. We're going to get into that a little in a minute, but most of all, everything's been just as much as planned and as designed.
Right.
You know, one of the things I'd like to throw out there for the committee and the liaisons is I'd like to have schedule a walkthrough with the building committee and the liaisons. This has kind of been, normally we would have a lot of publicity and allow groups to be going through the building because it is a town building, but unfortunately with this situation that we're in, we're going to have to really do a scheduled one. But I would like to get within next 3-4 weeks walkthrough for the building committee members and the liaisons, so the liaisons can bring it back to the councils and the boards, and the committee members know exactly what they're doing. They're doing and looking at when we show these slides and the drawings. So, any other questions with Gilbane? As you can see, they've been really hauling here. All right, then we'll move right on to Chris, the owner's rep.
Yeah, so I'll make this quick. Just a few things to highlight. We have met with the state a couple of times on the furniture package, as Bruce mentioned earlier. We should have that approval to start issuing purchase orders, hopefully mid next week. We do have a few things we've got to revise again for the state and submit to her tomorrow. So my guess is we'll get our letter next week and we'll start to issue purchase orders through finance. So that's that. And then technology, yes, hopefully for the next building committee meeting, we'll have a technology presentation for you all to review. And then we'll take that into the state as well. That'll be the third and last phase of this project as far as state school construction grants is concerned. So that's about it with the state update.
All right. With that, we're going to move on to. Anybody have any questions for Chris? I'm sorry. All right. We're going to move on to the budget subcommittee.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Just to remind everybody, the information is going to be presented as part of the budget subcommittee report has all been reviewed by the subcommittee, and everything has been approved for presentation to the full committee for approval. First item on the list is JCJ Architecture, invoice number 16, dated 7/31/2020, in the amount of $67,796.28.
Second.
Any discussion? Show of hands, all in favor? Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Thank you.
The second invoice for approval by this committee is from Gilbane Building Company, application number 10 for the period ending July 31st, 2020, in the amount of $2,356,210.17.
Second that.
As far as discussion, just want to, the invoices that we're getting now from Gilbane are pretty lengthy. It's the one that we received this week was over 158 pages, I believe. And itemizes every little thing that is being used and purchased and stored on the site, from every nut and bolt to beams to steel to dirt to everything that's been specified and being used. So we're going to start seeing Gilbane's invoices roughly in that range from here out. So just those of you that are not familiar with paying millions of dollars at a time, that's what it entails. And any of the committee members are more than welcome to sit in on any of the budget subcommittee member meetings if they want to come up to speed on exactly the process. So we do have a second. I have a show of hands, all in favor. Anybody against? Anybody abstain?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The third invoice is for CSG Construction Services Group, Construction Solutions Group. Invoice number 7, dated August 5th, 2020, in the amount of $21,800.74.
Second that. You can get the-
Any discussion? Show of hands, all in favor. Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add to the agenda item number 7B, titled ATP approvals, and make this a permanent part of the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? ATPs are something that's going to be brought up at every single meeting. Their approval to proceed is what that stands for. And what this is it's items that they encounter in the field. And in order to proceed, myself or Chris gives them authorization to proceed to bring it to the committee for authorization to get paid. But we don't want the project to stop and have them come once a month and ask if they could proceed on work. So these are items that are required to keep the project moving, and any ATP will get brought to the building committee for final approval for payment. So just to let you know what the ATP stands for, authorized to proceed. Go ahead. Yeah, show of hands. Any other discussion? Show of hands all in favor. Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have a total of 6 ATPs to present to the committee this evening. Let's start with ATP number 5, which are modifications to the temporary swing spaces and projection tack boards in the amount of $5,962. This is a fixed and firm price.
Second.
Amar, do you want to give a little quick description of what that entails, or what it is? This is a confirmed price one.
Which ATP is that? I'm sorry.
Probably Nate.
ATP number 5.
Yeah, Nate might
So
know.
that one is basically the temporary, pertains to the temporary swing space. So we have an RTU, that's a temporary RTU rooftop unit, air handling unit. And this particular ATP for $5,900, so close to $6,000, is for temporary steel to support that unit that we're going to need to install.
Any discussion? Show of hands all in favor. Anybody against? Anybody abstain?
ATP number 6, revised structural steel in area C. This is an estimated value of $11,981. And just for clarification to the committee, anyone that is an estimated value will be brought to the committee a second time when it is a firm and final value. So we're only approving an estimate.
Second.
Any discussion? Want to give a description of why? With this
Yeah,
one?
basically, this is a kind of an unforeseen condition. When you get into renovations, you have some conditions where obviously during the design phase, all the area is occupied. So once we start removing all the existing ceilings and opening the walls, verifying some conditions, some of those conditions vary. It's very typical of a renovation project. We run into it at the high school as well. So this is a minor revision to structural steel items. We asked the question, the design team came back with clarification, and this is the pricing. The pricing, it is estimated, as Randy indicated, and it's in for you for approval.
Any discussion? Show of hands all in favor. Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Thank you.
ATP number 7 was to add some temporary steel under a temporary RTU in area D. This is an estimated value, $6,145.
Okay, so very similar, again, very similar condition we run into for renovations. This is just a separate item that represents additional cost for, again, structural steel. Before we close up the ceiling, we have to provide those at these locations.
What RT means is a rooftop unit. So it's those
Correct.
mechanical units that you see from the road on the roofs, those big gray or green boxes. Those are called RTUs, rooftop units, just to let everybody know. That's why we need to have temporary steel on them, or steel underneath them to support them temporarily while we're renovating that area. Any other discussion? Show of hands, all in favor? Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Thank you very much.
ATP number 8 are beam penetrations for some sprinkler piping. This is an estimated value of $4,877.
Second.
Discussion? Amar or Nate?
Okay. Basically, as we run into our MEP coordination, this is part of phasing because it's a phase project for renovation. So when we coordinate, we encounter some existing steel that because of the above ceiling space is so tight on this particular project, so we have to provide some type of penetrations at some of the existing steel members in order to allow the utilities to run through the beams. That's a structural component. And the cost that you see in front of you is for providing these penetrations. We're probably going to run into this in other phases. Okay, so that's really what presents the cost that we need at this point in time authorized to deal with this particular condition.
Any other questions, discussion? Show of hands, all in favor? Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Thank you.
ATP number 9. There are some connections of existing expansion joints. Area C1, I believe it is. Estimated value, $11,301.
Second.
Any discussion?
So again, this one is a response to an RFI number 90. Again, we encountered area where we exposed some existing joists and we needed the design team guidance on how to tie in those locations, which is the engineer of record typically engaged at this location. So we had to extend and modify the steel, the new steel, to tie into the existing unforeseen condition. And again, this represents the cost. It is estimated for $11,301.
Any other discussion? Show of hands, all in favor? Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Thank you. Greg?
ATP number 10. This is for some kitchen modifications that are basically items that were value engineered out early to make sure that we could stay within budget. And since we have the funds that we're adding it back in, this is an estimated value, $139,303.
Second.
Okay, Gilbane, any discussion?
So basically, the majority of the cost that you see in front of you, this one is really equipment, kitchen equipment upgrades, and I think Randy touched on it earlier. And the rest of the cost is really represents some MEP that associated with those new equipment that we have to purchase. So this is in response to a bulletin that was issued by the design team for the kitchen area to upgrade the equipment that was, I believe, was VE'd on early on as part of the pre-con process. Correct me if I'm wrong, Randy.
Yes, so when we designed the kitchen initially, all this equipment was in there. This is the similar equipment that we used at the high school. Some of the equipment, some of the high cost equipment, we did it as a alternate or deduct, depending upon where the price comes in again during the bidding stage. Luckily, we were able to come in low enough, and this is just putting the equipment that was previously designed back in. All this equipment is still, with all this equipment that's going back in that was designed, was still almost $300,000 under the estimated budget for the kitchen equipment. So this is nothing that's coming out of so-called contingency. This is still this money was previously allocated for the kitchen equipment. And like I said, we just took it out as a safety net, depending upon where the bids came in. Like we all know, fortunately, we came in lucky enough to be able to put the stuff back in. So that's all this is. This isn't above and beyond what was originally designed. This is what was initially designed. Any other questions? Show of hands, all in favor? Anybody against? Anybody abstain?
That completes the ATPs, Mr. Chairman.
So, Ellen, so from here on, we're going to have 7B, and that would be any future ATPs.
Okay.
Agenda. Anybody have anything under old business they want to bring up? Anybody have anything under new business? Our communications subcommittee, we have one member. I know they've been doing a lot of stuff on Facebook, and they've been getting a lot of good comments about the progress. So, Caitlin, do you have anything? Okay.
Just gotta
All right.
unmute yourself.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
under
Okay. Go ahead.
Communication Subcommittee, I'd just like to give a brief update on what I've been working on with a couple of our fellow committee members. The groundbreaking ceremony is now scheduled for Monday, September 14th, 2020 at the time of 6 p.m. At the school. The invites, draft copies of the invitation and the agenda have been presented to Randy, put together by myself and the other members of the committee. Those are being reviewed by Randy for approval. We are looking at making up some posters, and JCJ has provided us some information so that we can pick some graphics that will be representative of the finished product. And those are going to be weeded down to probably 6, give or take, posters that we'll have printed. And we'll present those to Randy shortly for his approval so that we can go to press on those. That's all I have on that.
Excellent. You want to repeat the date again, sir?
Monday, September 14th, 2020, 6 p.m.
All right, and we're going to be sending notification through the school system and through out to the public forum, so we can have the public invited also.
Yeah, we'll be sending it to the governor, lieutenant governor, all the state reps, press, being the newspapers and TV. So we're going to hit that hard, and of course, I'll ask that once the invitation gets formally approved by Randy, to have that added to the building committee website and distributed that way also.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the work that you and your committee did to get this together.
Randy, so
Yes.
Caitlin was muted, I'm guessing, by Deb, and she can't unmute. So
I'm
the
sorry.
only
Okay, I just unmuted her.
oh, okay.
There you go.
The only thing she was gonna say is that Monty is gonna want the latest pictures that Gilbane shared to send to and upload to the Facebook page. So whoever can do that, that would be great. And she's texting me now, but Caitlin,
I just unmuted her, so she
yeah,
wants
she
to
just
speak.
says thank you. She's good.
Thank you, everyone.
Sorry. Okay. All right. The next meeting, schedule of our next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take and put out there that we have our next meeting on September 3rd at our standard 6:30 p.m. and cancel all meetings between now and September 3rd.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, show of hands. All in favor? Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Committee comments. We'll start with the liaisons. Anything?
Almost there, Randy. I can say that there's been a lot of chatter about people being worried about what's going on at JFK, given the fact that there's a possibility that some or a lot of students will go back in September. So, Amar, are you still working pretty closely with the superintendent on any changes or alterations that we're going to need? People are worried there's not going to be enough classroom space.
I'll let Nate, go ahead, Nate. Yes, we have been in communication, but I'll let Nate comment on that a little bit further regarding attendance of the OIC meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Let me mute myself again. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the principal of the school has been involved in every single OAC meeting that we have, which is a bi-weekly meeting. So he gets updated on the status of the construction project, and then also is able to give us any kind of input or any kind of information that he would like to convey to us on any action items that he has. So he is being fully vetted and fully informed on the status of things.
Yeah, so if there is any guidelines or any requirements that we need to implement, we're following obviously CDC guidelines. We're following the design as it stands. We have not received any new instructions or guidelines to alter our course of the work, unless we get some direction. But we're prepared to do whatever it takes to make sure the place is safe based on the guidelines and the direction we're given.
Thank you.
Randy, this is Walter.
Yes, sir.
So to confirm that what they said, next Tuesday we're having a special board meeting to announce what model we're going to be going back in September with, and it's still all up in the air, and we're still trying to get more information from the state if they can just make up their minds, but nobody wants to make up their minds, but we're going to act on it next Tuesday on which model we're going to use and which way we're going to go back to school. And I know that we've been working with the superintendent and the principal. We've been working with the construction crew. So going forward, and you guys are all doing a great job. Thank you very much. And I know it's been a difficult time, but thank you all.
All right. Thank you very much. Great question, Gina. Any committee members have any comments they want to share? Anybody have any good to the order? Anything good and positive they want to share? Well, I have power, so that's good.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one item that I would like to present. Motion to adjourn.
A lot of seconds on that. All right. Thank you guys very much. All in favor, show of hands. Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Thank you all very much, and please stay
Good night,
safe.
everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Good night.